This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The Spec Racer Ford is much more at home at club tracks, local circuits that are short, technical, and invite the average Joe to give racing a try. So Tsukuba fits right in with this diminutive machine, if I can speak today, but that doesn't mean it'll be without challenges. This tight and twisty place should create its own brand of chaos as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Weekend Warriors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. It doesn't take long to familiarize yourself with this track due to its short length, so we've got time to hop on board and see what it's like from the driver's perspective with our track guide. All right, we're in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Tsukuba. Down into the first corner, expect most of the passes to take place here. What's going to be difficult is that the gearing in the Spec Racer is a little awkward for this hairpin. You might see some differences in approach depending on what gear the driver uses through there. As you weave through 3 and 4, you've got to make sure to line yourself up on the right for the braking into 5. The understeer this car suffers from makes it easy to get into the power too soon. Despite the heavy banking, the car wants to plow into the grass on the exit. Before you know it, you've got to switch sides for 7. And the moto layout you absolutely don't want to track out because of this added chicane. While it makes the approach up to the final hairpin slower, it also straightens it out quite a bit. It's a trade-off that might mean more attempts at passing without seeing much more success than the regular circuit. Like most hairpins, you'll want to square this one off to get as much speed as you can down the backstretch. This is the longest straight on the track, but you still won't be getting all that fast in the little SRF. Unfortunately, the final corner is both swift and can handle surprisingly late braking, so overtakes on your way in are probably going to be rare. Instead, expect mistakes mid-corner or on the exit to open up opportunities. But if you've kept it together, you've now hopefully finished a lap around Tsukuba. Now that I've got my tongue under control, let's talk a little bit more about this track. And Ryan, it seems to be that this track kind of divides opinions. I know I like it, but you don't seem quite as fond of it.
Tsukuba is one of those tracks that I like racing around, but it's kind of, I've never been really quick around here. But yeah, a little bit of a history about the track. Tsukuba was established in 1966 with the aim of attracting young people to participate in motorsport events, but the track was actually not completed until 1970. At the present time, motorsport events are held on a regular basis every week at this track. And some details about the track as well for today's race. It is 1.29 miles in length, or 2.07 kilometers if you prefer to use that. It has an amazing 14 turns, which is quite amazing because the layout we are using today is actually small in a way. And today, as always, for this race, or for this series in general, it is a 40-minute race.
And as always, this series is brought to you by SimStickers. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, they have you covered. And now, if you use the promo code GSRC10 when purchasing, you get 10% off of all orders for the whole season. You can find out more at simstickers.co.uk. Right now, let's look at the championship, which has been pretty one-sided. We've only had one race that Gaspers has shown up that he hasn't won. That broke his long winning streak that he had. Still 87 points over Daniel Sadro. With only today and 2 more races, it's going to be unlikely that Daniel can run him down. So David just has to get some solid finishes in. And look at the gap behind them, though. Sadro and Gaspers have really been consistent compared to the rest of the field. Macarivi, 192 points behind David. Antonio Reese in a close fight, 5 points back from Jerry. And then you've got Emil Orza, just a little bit of a jump behind, but still not out of it for those top 3 spots. Let's go to the Spec 2 Championship. Ryan, where are we sitting there?
So in the Spec 2 Championship, it's still relatively close at the top. Currently still being led by Larry McLeod, who's been basically leading the S2 standings for most of the season with 379 points. PJ Gowdy has been consistent so far this season. He's still keeping in touch with a 16-point gap. And then the fourth man, as I like to call him, in third is Dominic Bureau. He's not been winning every race in the Spec 2 class, but he's been getting consistent results and being rewarded with third place in the standings, a further 45 points back. And then Jay William Smith has started dropping off in fourth with 75 points further back. And Yuri Cox rounds out the top 5 with a 80-point gap further back.
Now, in case we have viewers who've never watched the Weekend Warriors before, let's go down the race details of exactly what this event will entail. As we mentioned, we are in round 10 out of 12. The cars do have an open setup in this series, but they're very minimal. Again, these are meant for club racing, new drivers who are just kind of dipping their toes in. They have a fuel limit, though, so you can expect 1 pit stop for fuel in this 40-minute race, and they ration the points from 100 for the win down to 25 for last place every time, no matter how many people show. They also get some penalty points if they get too many incidents. Every 10 incidents out on track, they lose 3 points. They have a spare car waiting for them if they get into trouble and if they get damaged. This is going to be one of the few tracks, though, Ryan, I have to imagine that they will have to worry about aero damage because, well, they don't really get going too fast around here.
Yeah, Tsukuba is one of those tracks. It's not really a high-speed track, you could say. It's kind of most of these corners for the first sector. It's mostly slow-speed corners, but there's probably a couple of high-speed corners. You've got there's one high-speed corner, I should say. This final corner they're coming around now. It's kind of you've got to carry the speed, but I think these cars won't really get up to speed like you mentioned, Joe. So the pack should be relatively close.
As we saw David Gaspers having some problems practicing his pit entry. But once again, you're watching this on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe when you get the opportunity. All you got to do so is if you're on YouTube right now watching this, scroll down below the video. You'll see a big red button that says subscribe. Click that, and you won't miss a moment at all here on IESN with all of it showing up in your YouTube feed. Funny note about Gaspers, he's only put 1 completed lap in here in qualifying. He's been struggling to keep it clean, but that 1 lap was good enough for pole by a quarter of a second by Maurizio Naselli, who is also no slouch. Gaspers is just on an out lap here. And let's see, is Naselli on a fast one? His last was his quickest at a 104.421. And as he comes across, he doesn't improve. Still got plenty of time with 6 minutes left. And you talk about the quick laps around here, Ryan, with how short they are. They're going to have plenty.
Absolutely. I think this race today is going to be about just survival, I think, just because the layout that we're using is so small that it'll probably bunch this pack up. And yeah, I think you could be seeing some different pit strategies as well. So I think I'm just looking throughout the grid as well at the moment in qualifying. The surprise man for me is Tim Hendrickson up in P4.
Oh, yeah, that is a good run for him. Now, our highest driver in this Spec 2 field, though, is Greg Stefani. He's sitting 6th overall, well ahead of the next driver. 10th place for Dominique Bureau down there in the 208. Granted, I say well ahead, that's in positions. Let me look at the difference in time. It's about 0.2 of a second, so that's still pretty tight between those two. That's to be expected with how short the lap is around here. There's Ian Haycox as well, who's the 3rd one in line in the Spec 2 race today. This is Emil Orza, who's just behind in 12th. His last lap didn't count, so he's going to continue on around. Lap traffic today, big talking point here, Ryan. I'm wondering, if it's going to come down to who is the most experienced and savvy to try and get through the traffic.
Indeed, I think. Excuse me. Yeah, there's been some talk on the forums from the official races that traffic this week has not been very cooperative. I could say, but the Weekend Warriors we know is a great community, a lot of respect between the drivers, and I don't think we'll have any issues with cars being lapped. But with the tight nature of this track, it could be very difficult for the leaders to get by them as quickly as possible. So a bit of patience is going to be required.
Murakami down there in 17th. Well, it looks like actually he's bumped himself up since we last looked. There's Sadro now. Qualifying, not really his strong suit. We often talk about that. And as he crosses, that was an outlap for him. So he's going to try to continue to improve on that one. And one of the things that we need to watch out for in terms of pit stops, as we talked about it briefly before, is that pit entry. We saw David Gaspers already trying to practice and finding it a little bit tough. I mean, Ryan, what can you do to try and practice? Is it just you keep cycling around and running through that pit entry every time? Or what's your method for those sorts of things?
I think the pit entry you'll probably want to try and get over to the pit entry as quickly as possible, but not carry too much speed on the entry. Just try and not be too cautious, but make sure you don't carry like loads of speed. Otherwise, you'll just run wide and possibly end up ruining someone else's race or taking another car out. So it's something that these drivers are going to have to be very careful about and think about how to get it right. Think about how. I'll say it again. Think about how to get it right.
And as we watch Sadro once again, that one a 104.983, still about 0.2 off of his best lap. This field, very large today. We've got 43 drivers that have put a time in. Looks to be about 44 that might be showing up, possibly 46, because I see two grayed out at the bottom, including Steve Elson. Not sure if they're going to be taking to the grid. Essentially, between first and 43rd, though, there's 2.6 seconds between them. And honestly, if you jump to 41st, it's 2.1. So there's a bit of a gap from those last two that have put times in right now. Jeff Cantor there in that 41st spot with a 106.285 as his quickest. Compare that with Gasper's 104.1, which, by the way, still the only lap that David Gaspers has successfully completed here in qualifying.
It's one of those tracks. It's easy to get an off track or a spin or make a mistake, just because it's just the nature of the track. But as I'm just watching right now, I'm just watching David Gaspers trying to get a start to his lap in qualifying, and yeah, the pack was so close together. It's just the nature of the track.
Yeah, and we're seeing here in qualifying, this doesn't look like qualifying. This looks like the race itself because drivers are all clumped together. There's really no place to find open track out here. As we watch Haslam and Ian Haycox. Haycox trying to improve, still not doing so. That 104.988 still his quickest there for Ian. And Selly, let's see what he's got this time. Another one that does not count. Must have had one of those off tracks. Getting down to the dying stages now with about 1.5 minutes left to go. So maybe 2 more laps max for Naselli.
Quite possibly, as I'm just looking throughout the field as well. It's good to see our colleague from GSRC doing well in qualifying. Stefan Slacker up there in P5 at the moment. So good to see Stefan on good form in qualifying at the moment.
Absolutely. With the top 5, no mean feat, especially in a pack as tight as this in qualifying. Juracek, I'm also watching to see if he can do better than his 104.702 as he sits in 3rd. And I think he should have enough time to start one more lap because this one looks a little slow for him as we watch Hugh Haycox now come around. And Haslam once more. Looks like he's not going to improve that time. See what Juracek has. He's coming up to the final corner. And that number 84. He's going to take this one out wide, swing it in for that late apex, and come down to the line. Another one where he had an off track, so not going to be able to count that one.
Yeah, that exit of the final corner, Joe, is so difficult to get right. As I've done some races around here in the past in different series, and you get so tempted to take loads of exit curb on the exit of the final corner, but if you take too much, it gives you an off track, which is so frustrating.
Checkered flag is out. Hugh Haycock's going to abandon that lap and send it right into the barrier. So David Gaspers is Samuel Dick also going to say that his day is over. He comes into the pit lane practicing. Gasper is going to practice as well, so he's not interested in trying to improve his time. He's happy with that pole. John Frum is going to stay out. Let's see what the number 46 can do. He's currently down in 44th, last on the grid, and that one isn't an improvement as well. Chris Murakami doesn't get a lap counted there. They're going to come across thick and fast here, so I'm trying to catch them as they go. Looks like Wobolt did not improve. Holton didn't either. Who else is still running? I see Juracek still out there. PJ Gowdy now is going to come on in, so he's not interested in trying to go any quicker, the New Englander. McCarty also in, so is Miroslav Juracek. Is anybody going to finish? That's it. That's going to be it. Juracek was the last one. Wobolt's still out there, but he's already crossed the line. So that gives us our starting order. It's going to be David Gaspers on the pole with Maurizio Naselli trying to give chase. Certainly didn't quite have it up to speed there in qualifying, but Miroslav Juracek will be starting in third with Tim Hendrickson in P4. Stefan Schlacker starts fifth and Greg Stefani P6. Daniel Sadro, 7th today on the grid. A little far down for him. Sergio Dorelli in 8th and Jerry McAreevy in 9th. Top 10 rounded out by Dominique Bureau.
Starting in 11th is Erwin Rofkrans. Alongside him in 12th is Ian Haycox. Emil Orza will start in 13th. 14th will be Chris Murakami. Brett Holton starts alongside him in 15th. 16th is Sam. 17th is Antonio Reyes. 18th is Zachary LeVay, 19th is Larry McLeod, and rounding out the top 20 is Hugh Haycox.
Bob Kern puts it in 21st with Jean Pereira and 22nd. Then it's Ed Doherty in the 23rd position. Kenneth Bately starting P24. We saw Gowdy decide not to stay out on his last qualifying lap. That put him 25th. Ramon Regalado is 26th, and then 27th goes to Brian Short. Adam Bradshaw, P28 for him. Jackson Paul is in 29th, and Martin Van de Berg will be starting 30th.
Miro Haraski starts in 31st. Jim McGill will start in 32nd. Tom Gradwell will start in 33rd. 34th is Jaron Haslam. 35th is Paolo Brem. 36th is Nick Carty. 37th is Kellen Rhodes. Jeff Jigson starts in P38. 39th is Ian Wilson, and starting in 40th will be Julio Forcolon.
Then in 41st, you got Jeff Cantor with Dan Babich in 42nd. Wobolt starts 43rd today. John Frum in 44th. Elson and Patton are not in the session, so they will be did not start today. And it is a very short pace lap here. They start on what is effectively considered the backstretch, but there's only one corner between themselves and the starting line. So as we wait for that pace car to get going, at this point, just waiting on Jerry McAreevy to get out there, and that will be everyone. 46 cars around a track that is less than 2 miles in length. This, in fact, less than 1.5 miles in length. So this is going to be very tough to try and find space to get decent and clean laps in. There goes the pace car with David Gasper is going to be given control in just a moment. They come up to that final turn. Pace car is in. How long is Gasper going to wait? Is he going to go quickly? He's given a little bit of time, stacking everybody up. Waiting patiently, waiting a long time here. Green flag is out now. He has to go. And this has really checked some people up. 4 wide, almost 5 wide there for second place as drivers are jockeying for position. In second, it looks like Stefan Schlacker manages to get himself past Tim Hendrickson. and he gets himself up into P2. They're going to get single file for the top 4, but they're still sorting it out in the mid-pack.
Yeah, everyone's managed to make it through turn one without any issues, and that was a great start from Slacker. He absolutely took the chance and pounced on it, and up into P2, and Hendrickson's up into P3.
A little sliding around, I think that's Hugh Haycox who goes around. Otherwise, everybody else seems to be able to get through fine on the second hairpin. Now up to the third hairpin, and it is Gaspers leading Schlacker, Hendrickson third still, Naselli back to fourth after starting in second. Not a good start for him. Sadro gets up to fifth, though. Great start for the 51 car.
I'm just looking throughout the field as well to see if there's been any issues, and so far so good on lap 1. Everyone's managed to keep it clean. And looking at some other cars in the field as well, yeah, in the Spec 2 class, it's still Stefani leading in 7th, and Dominic Bureau up into 7th place. Great start from Dominic.
We're going to watch from Miroslav's perspective now, and I think Hugh Haycox unfortunately had a big enough accident that he's had to take a tow. So he is in pit lane. Juracek, as we watch ahead of him, trying to chase on Sadro. He's got a whole train of cars, very little separation between essentially anybody throughout all 44 cars here. You can see how much curb they take, getting aggressive around some of these corners here, Ryan.
Yeah, it's quite possible to be aggressive with the curves around this track, but it all depends on how well you've got the car set up. If the car's set up and reasonably well, you can do that. As just ahead of Miroslav is Daniel Sadro, and yeah, quite surprisingly, Joe, everyone's managed to make it round in one piece in the first couple of laps. So, yeah, get good stuff from all these drivers.
As we said, Hugh Haycox really the only victim. Brasky started from pit lane, looks like possibly, and I see Jerry McAreevy with a bit of time on his pit lane marker. So I'm not sure if he started from pit lane or took an extra visit. Looks like Ian Haycox might be overtaken by Greg Stefani. And that's for second in the S2 class. Dominique Bureau just ahead of Greg now. So, and I don't know if Greg's going to hold on to this because Ian's going to try and come back at him.
Yeah, just watching these guys at the moment. They're going side by side. And, yeah, Bureau up into the Spec 2 lead at the moment. Oh!
That was Ian getting into someone, and then Dorelli getting hit by Haycox as well. That looks like that was Rotkrans who got touched there. Coming out of the little moto chicane, Murakami tried to take advantage of it. You can see Dorelli getting the car going once again. Oh, things happen fast here as we watch Murakami ahead of Orza. Orza tried to take advantage of him because Murakami's attempted pass on Irwin didn't quite work out. That backs all this group together. You can see it's essentially Rotkrans up there in 9th, chased by Murakami, Orza, Reese, Haycox, Dick, and Holton.
Yeah, it's all starting to kick off now, and still up at the front. It's David Gaspers leading from Stefan Slacker by about 1.4 seconds at the moment. So Gaspers is pulling away.
Yeah, he's certainly got a handy little gap, and Hendrickson is still challenging on Schlacker. See, there's the other part they don't talk about as much with those moves at the start of the race here, Ryan. If you can get that spot, well, if you're not quicker than everybody, then you got to play defense the whole race long.
Absolutely, it's a case where the Spec Racer Ford, you're quicker than someone, you can get by them, but it's just a matter of staying ahead of them. And also with the draft as well, the draft effect in this car is so strong that if you can get a good run on someone, especially on that back straight, you can possibly get by them before the final corner, or heading onto the home straight into turn 1.
Defensive move down there into the first hairpin from Schlacker as Hendricks tried to get his nose in, but it was chopped off. Naselli's watching this with a very curious eye, hoping maybe he can take advantage of them tangling. A little bit of a lockup there into the second hairpin from each of them, but they continue on successfully.
As Slacker's still under attack from Hendrickson, but I'm just looking at his pack behind Slacker as well. He's got about about 5 cars behind him, and in this pack now is the Spec 2 leader, Dominic Bureau. So I wonder if Dominic will probably think about the S2 stand or S2 championship and just stay where he is at the moment and just see if these guys slip up.
Yeah, Greg Stefani is directly behind him, but it's about 2 seconds back. So, like you said, maybe Dominic will just kind of pull out and let the leaders tow him along here. But I think we might have another pass attempt into turn 1 with Schlacher, because Hendrickson is very close, but he's not close enough once again. Still having to take a little bit of an outside line with Schlacher just turning in early to cover him off.
Yep, that was a fair defensive move from Slacker. He went for the apex early to cover Hendrickson off. What he's entitled to do. He's defending hard, but he's defending fair at the same time.
I wonder if we could hop on board with Naselli, because he's probably got a great view of all this action happening, and he's actually got a good run coming up to the final hairpin. He's going to try and take it. He's going to take a little bit of a look, but once again, drivers covering one another off just to make sure nobody has an opportunity, really proving just how tough it is to overtake at this tiny little track. Oh, we had a problem with Antonio Reese. He is off at the final hairpin. He's losing a bunch of spots. He's going to manage to get back on track, but he's falling down to about 20th. Let's see how this kicked off. I think he had some help here. Yeah, Ian Haycock's in the green and silver machine behind him. Just watch this. Coming up to the hairpin. Yeah, just a little tap. And that was a costly mistake. Probably not very happy with Ian after that one.
I'm still watching this battle with Slacker and Hendrickson as well, and Naselli and a few other cars in this pack, and it's still really, really close. But Slacker's built up a little bit of a gap.
And they got to start worrying about lap traffic, because ahead of them, Gaspers is catching a 2-car battle between Frum and Brasky. Just a few more feet before he is up to them. Frum is going to let Miro by. So that at least takes care of the battle so that he doesn't have to tangle with them tangling with one another. Already about 10 minutes in. Wonder if we're going to start seeing a few drivers try to pit a little bit early here, but really I don't think even pitting early will do you much help, because there's no way to get out of the traffic. Gaspers gets one, and now he can set his sights on the next.
Yeah, I don't think pitting early around Tsukuba is going to be I don't think it'll be the best strategy to go with, just because, like you mentioned, Joe. But no matter whenever you pit, you're still going to come out behind traffic.
Don't need to go to it, but Murakami just spun in the second hairpin, and so he lost a lot of positions. He was up, I believe, around 11th. Clearly having to push quite a bit here. You can see just it is a conveyor belt of cars. We actually have to go back to Tim Hendrickson, because I think Naselli has managed to finally use the traffic to get his nose in and down into the first corner. He's going to be able to sneak inside, but it's not quite done yet. Look at him power off, and Tim Hendrickson will have the inside of the second hairpin. He retains that third place rather.
Yep. Henderson was able to hold Naselli off, but let's say this pack is all bunching up again, and I think maybe even Daniel Sadler might just be sitting behind these guys, thinking this go on guys to get caught up with each other so I can gain some positions. But yeah, Slacker and Hendrickson are going at it and getting quite feisty with each other.
And that was all kicked off by lap traffic. They went by the same car from that we saw our leader go by. Ooh. Schlacher defending to the inside. And whoa, clear around the outside. Look at this. Tim Hendrickson with an incredible amount of speed, finding the grip, but he's not done. Still defending off to that inside. Schlacher's doing everything he can to retain P2. Oh, he has a little bit of a bobble, but catches the car before it gets into him. Just inches between the two of them. Hendrickson finally gets it done. Oh, but Schlacher's going to send it back. Somehow he gets it woed up. He's given space. A brave dive, and Schlacher actually makes it work. They bang wheels once again, coming off the corner. Nobody is willing to give quarter between these two. Down through the chicane. It looks like Schlacher's got it back, but this opens the door for Naselli. Looking towards the outside, coming up to the hairpin. Gets chopped off as Hendrickson comes back to the racing line. Deep on the brakes for Naselli. That unfortunately sends it in too far, and here comes Sadro looking for fourth.
Yeah, sorry about getting over excited there, Joe, but that was just, that was a very optimistic move by Slacker, but fair play to him. He got up the inside and managed to hold it.
And Sadro got hit by Juracek. Both of them go off. Dominique Bureau is going to take advantage and gets 2 positions in 1.
Yep. Got a replay of the incident with Sadro and Juracek. Sorry, Joe.
Okay. It looks to me just like Juracek didn't quite expect the 51 to break as much as he did. Juracek going way out into the gravel, keeping it out of the barriers, but just barely. Yeah, just unfortunate timing, it seems. Oh, and we've had another problem with Ed Doherty, as he had an off. We've had a lot of offs as all this has been happening. Mid-pack has been just utter chaos in places. I believe Ian Haycox had a big issue, and I'm not sure what happened to him because I'm still trying to find out where he went. Let's look at some of this action back there. Zach LeVay ahead of Murakami, Bradshaw, Reese, and Gowdy. Had the opportunity to race a little bit this week, and I can tell you that Zach LeVay is still pretty quick. Absolutely.
He's one of the quickest people in the Spec Racing Ford, I find, and currently just in front of Chris Murakami and Adam Bradshaw, and a few other cars as well in this pack.
Hopping on board with Zach now. As he tries to give chase on Larry McLeod. That's the one in front of him. Looks like he's having a little bit of a connection issue here. As Murakami and LeVay starting to pull away from that group behind them. But we can't stay here long because Schlacher, Hendrickson, and Naselli all tight together. They've left behind a few of their friends just because the problems that Juracek and Sadro had getting together. Dominique Bureau dropped off as well. He's lost that draft, so now it's a 3-car battle for second.
Absolutely, as they come across the finish line again as they head into turn 1, and Slacker again goes defensive early, taking the inside, taking a very tight. But Hendrickson is right behind him and gets a good exit, but behind these guys as well as Naselli, and further back, it looks like further back as well as, like you mentioned, Joe, is Dominic Bureau, but at the moment it's a three-car battle for second place. And it's not going away anytime soon. Fair play to Schlacher, who has done a beautiful job trying to retain this position, but it can't necessarily be forever because little bobbles like that open the door for Hendrickson as he almost gets into the back of him. That was Naselli there in the black number 44 taking a peek at things. He falls off a little bit. Could this be the opportunity that Hendrickson is needing? We've seen this before where Tim managed to go around the outside of this corner to try and find track position. Maybe an over-under this time instead. Oh, I think he might have that. He's got to run. Oh, and a late move, just trying to cover him off, barely squeaking through. Schlacher manages to keep the inside away from Tim Hendrickson. Hendrickson leaves the door a little bit open for Naselli, but Maurizio not able to walk through. Oh, this is epic stuff. I'm loving this battle, and I think that was a bit naughty from Stefan. He moved very late, but unfortunately, or luckily, that him and Hendrickson never got caught with each other. But it's all kicking off, and I think this battle is going to go on for most of the race, and it could possibly be decided through the pit stops. You know, I'm actually going to side with Steph on that one. I think he moved as soon as he possibly could. It just wound up that they both moved at the same time. And once again, he's having to go all the way to the inside to try and cover off Tim,
who is going to look around that outside. He's going to try and force him down, squeeze him and pinch him into the apex, and it just might work because it was a shallow entry from the Austrian. Could he maybe finally get this move done? He's been working for laps on this one. He carries the speed well, but once again, it's a right-hander at the first corner. He enters very wide. Schlocker, shallow into there. They come together, banging wheels for another time in this race, and he starts to fall back. Schlocker retaining second, yet still.
Yeah, this is I'll be amazed if this doesn't end. I hope it doesn't, but
A bit of a touch between Hendrickson and Naselli there coming through the second chicane. And Maurizio might get caught up. We might have Dominic second place if things keep going how they're going.
yeah, I was about to say I think this could possibly end up in disaster. Not that I want it to, but just the way they're battling, it's getting a bit feisty. And like you say, Bureau could pounce and pick up the pieces if these guys get caught with each other.
Red Mist has overcome all three of these drivers for sure. The moves that we're seeing are intense, and I think it's calmed down just a little bit this time as we didn't have an attempt from Hendrickson. Maybe trying to send a kamikaze up into turn one. Nope. But he does spy a little bit of lap traffic, so he brakes late. Could he maybe pick him off? Nope. They're going to get back to single file. This is Kenneth Bately up in front of them. They've also got Miro Hrasky up there as well. So they're getting into the thick of the traffic now. And I have a feeling that Tim is going to be using that everywhere he possibly can.
Quite possibly. As I was about to say, it's maybe worth using the traffic to your advantage if you get the chance. Maybe if the traffic moves one way, you go another way and just pick up a place. But yeah, these guys have been scrapping for most of the race so far, and the Selly, I think, is just playing the waiting game at the moment. More than happy to just sit there being patient and just see how it pans out.
Yeah, he's definitely backed off. I think he decided it was getting just a little too crazy for his liking. We're almost halfway through this race. We've been watching a lot of this battle. Well, let's hold on it for just a little bit longer because it was a bad exit. Oh, and we'll have to duck away because it's side by side here for 7th place. This is between Rotkrins to the inside and Bureau to the outside. This is for the lead and Spec 2. And Rotkrins is going to try and hold him off as Bureau gets a run off of the first hairpin, but it's not enough of one. He pulls out of it.
I think, I think Bureau, it's not worth fighting Rotkrins at too much. Rotkrins is probably, I think, judging by his pace, he's a quicker car. And I think Bureau is just thinking of the long game and just deciding to settle for second at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm sure he won't be happy losing the lead in that Spec 2, but regardless, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. We had a bit of a problem between Haslam and Piera back in the pack. Don't need to go to it. Just two cars tangling out of the first corner, unfortunately. Really, we unfortunately can't get to all the action that happens out on track here today. It's just non-stop. Watch from the 8th place driver's car. Emil Orza working on Greg Stefani. Stefani Spec 2, but Orza Spec 1. Greg doesn't want to lose his spot because that's Bureau right in front of him. That could get him into P2 for the Spec 2 race.
Absolutely. Just been watching Orza for a few laps now, and he's been slowly closing on these guys in front. And yeah, it's if I was a Spec 2 driver, I would just think of I know it's you want to do well overall, but just try and think of the long game and think about the Spec 2 championship. And also Orza is a Spec 1 driver, so it's kind of, you want to finish well, but you don't want to fight too hard just in case you do something silly.
Meanwhile, as we look at 13th side by side between Bradshaw and Gowdy, let's stick with this, but a quick update. We've had a few pit stops. Juracek and Makarivi, two of our front runners, have been in and out. They come down to the final corner. Nobody's willing to give up between these two, but Gowdy sends it in deeper. Is it too deep? I think another over-under attempt possibly from Bradshaw here. He gets a good exit, but he's going to stay behind, covering off the middle of the track. Gowdy making sure that he keeps an opportunity from presenting itself for Adam. So they're going to stay in position. Also, we had Tim Hendrickson in, and he's been back out. So our battle for second has split up as the 028 is going to try an alternate strategy to see if he can get himself some track space. So an 11-second stop for Tim Hendrickson. So will Schlacher respond? He's got clear track. Yeah, he's going to stay out. I don't blame him. Steph has got no traffic in front of him right now, so might as well just keep rifling off good laps.
Yeah, it's maybe worth Steph using the clear track to his advantage, but he can't. He gets sideways in turn one. Yeah, I was about to say Steph could use his clear track to his advantage.
And Selly giving chase on him has caught up because of that little bit of a mistake. The 44 again qualified second, so clearly has good pace. I wonder if maybe he could also outgun Schlacher if he can just get by. By the way, Tim Hendrickson is our highest pitter right now. He came out just about 2 seconds ahead of Juracek, who's already completed his pit stop.
Yep, I'm not sure if Hendrickson is. I'm not sure Hendrickson should have pitted at this stage of the race. If I was him, I would have tried to go as long as possible. But with the traffic as well, it's always worth trying something different and pitting early and maybe trying to do the undercut.
You know, I feel like if I was in Tim, done the same. He was being held up by Stefan corner after corner and just couldn't manage to get anything done. So might as well try something different. Now, granted, the one downfall that you're right about is if he does get caught up in traffic, he could lose positions instead of gaining as we go to 21st with Vandenberg and Jackson fighting for this spot.
Yeah, I don't think we've had it. Oops.
No, I was just going to say that's also Cardi and Reese back in there. Go ahead.
I was just about to say as well. I don't think we've looked back at the pack so far in the race. It's just been so much action going on up at the front and close in the other end of the top 10.
Looks like Antonio Race is going to get by Cardi, but they're on differing strategies. Antonio has pit, Cardi has not. He's got to try and make time as quickly as possible, and these drivers ahead don't necessarily know that that's what's happened with Antonio.
As Stefan Schlacher has dived into the pits from second place.
And so is David Gaspers. But this is curious. And did Schlacher miss his pit? I think. Oh no, excuse me. It was someone else going by. It was a different car that looks similar to his on my screen. So we do have our leader back out. False alarm. He returns in 7th, and critically for the number 1 machine, there's not much traffic in front of him. There's a little bit in the form of Jacobson and Sadro. Steph returns to the track. Naselli keeps going. So how long does he keep going? Oh, and you know what? Something we didn't cover. It worked for Hendrickson. He is ahead of Schlacher. Great move by the 028. So that should net him second place. Hopefully, once pit stops are done. We still have a ways to go. Don't need to see it, but it was just a simple leapfrog that Hendrickson managed to put faster laps in. And Schlacher came back out behind. So I guess the dream is over on that end, but still going to be a good finish for the 08. Let's look in on 3rd place. Dominique Bureau still dealing with drivers in that Spec 2 class. This time, though, it's Greg Stefani. Stefani very close behind as they come up to the 2nd hairpin. Greg doesn't send it in, but almost gets into the back of them as they break for that corner.
Yeah, these guys are battling for P3, and these guys have still got to stop as well. I think this Spec 2 battle could be sorted through the pit stops or in the later stages of the race anyway. So these guys are having a good race so far, and Stefani, again, just about runs into the back, or just about nudges the back of Bureau, I should say. But fantastic races so far, and also behind these guys as well, you've got Emil Orza and also Daniel Sadro.
just to tell you how fast, as it looks like Sadra is going to pit, how fast Gaspers has been going. He's on the back of this battle. And this is for drivers who were in about 7th place or so before the pit stops. Oh, I think Orza is going to be able to do something on Bureau because he's going to send it to the inside. He actually scared Bureau off the line. He gives way. Orza moves up to 4th as they get caught by Gaspers now.
Yep, as David Gaspers tries to go around the outside of Dominic Bureau, but I don't think David will do anything stupid. He's just he realises that these guys have still got to pit, so yeah, I think he'll wait until they dive into the pits or wait until the back straight to get a run on Bureau and get by him as soon as possible without doing anything silly.
Here's those dangers you were talking about, though. He pitted early, and now as he tries to get his nose in there, he's being held up quite a bit by Bureau. It's no fault of Bureau. He's trying to run his own race, and he's not obliged to move over for David, but I wonder if this could allow possibly the likes of either Naselli or Hendrickson to gain enough ground to challenge Gaspers.
It could, as David Gaspers is on the inside of Dominic Bureau heading down into turn 1, but it's going to be close in the pit stops, I think, when Naselli and Hendrickson pit. It'll be interesting to see where they come out.
Naselli in that number 44, just about halfway around the lap. We are getting towards the end of that pit window as well, so he will have to come in soon. So right now, before the stops are finished, Naselli leads. Rotgren is in 2nd. Stefani runs in 3rd. And Orza is in 4th before you get to our first driver to have pitted, David Gaspers, back in P5.
I'm just like having a look at Orza and Bureau to see if they come into the pits. No, they don't. They go around again. So I think these guys are trying to go as long as possible and try not lose too much time.
2nd place, or 3rd place rather. Here's Greg Stefani as he's being challenged by Orza, but also now David Gaspers. Gaspers got a nose in. He's got to be careful here as he goes a little bit off track. Orza might not be aware that this is for altering strategies. They both go a little wide, lap traffic way around the outside. That's Vandenberg, just letting everybody through.
As Naselli comes up to the hairpin and he's got traffic in front of him, that looks like it's Bob Kern in front of him. But I wonder if Naselli will dive into the pits now with traffic in front, or if they'll go around for another lap.
Keeping an eye coming in. Watch the cameras. Yeah, you're right. 44 down to pit lane. Rotgren stays out. Stefani does as well. So does Orza. So unfortunately for Gaspers, still not done with this. But Naselli is definitely not nearly going to come out with our leader, or what will effectively be our leader after the stops. In fact, he's going to be way back.
Absolutely.
Watch Hendrickson. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Hendrickson's coming around the final corner, and it looks like I'm looking to see where Naselli is. Naselli is just leaving the pit, so Hendrickson has got him.
And Schlocker's by, but not quite Juracek. Juracek and Naselli are going to be racing side by side. This is for position. Both have finished their pit stops. As they come down and into the second hairpin, almost coming together, but a little bit wide. It looks like Juracek's going to have to give way to Maurizio.
Yeah, that was too close for comfort, and Juracek even had to go off the grass a little bit as they headed down into the hairpin. But it looks like Naselli's pulling away slowly, and possibly should be back up into the podium positions after these pit stops are finished.
Looks like Stefani's finally taking his, allowing Gaspers through, and Orza is also going to let Gaspers go by. Next up is Erwin Rotgren, so he's not completely back to the lead yet. Thus down to 10 minutes to go. We're getting a better picture of how things are going to swap out here. 750 returns. Puts him down in 14th, but we are still waiting on a number of drivers to come in, including this man, Rotkrins, in the 268, leading the race and leading that Spec 2 race right now, but he still has to come and pit. And now, yes, there he goes. We have a late commitment from him. Still, he makes it in clean. Gasper's now finally, once again, your leader. Orza stays out. Bureau joins him. LeVay is going to stay out. Murakami pits. Gowdy stays out. Oh, and Bureau misses his pit stall. So where is this going to put Rotkrins? He is going to return in 10th. Our lead driver for the Spec 2 is PJ Gowdy. Now, if I recall, he was relatively close to Rotkrins before. Gowdy does still need his pit stop, by the way, so I'm trying to figure out where exactly he's going to be coming out. And I think Rotkrins probably too close for PJ to have hope of taking that Spec 2 lead away here. Oh, is Gowdy out of fuel? Gowdy's going very slow. I think he ran it too dry.
Yeah, he's coasting.
Oh, boy. Critical mistake here. Orza keeps going and LeVay keeps going, so they've saved fuel a little bit better than him, apparently. Oh, man. 777's got a ways to go to get to his stall, too. There we go. All right, looks like he found his pit stall, so thought maybe he was going to be farther down the pit lane. Orza now, the highest of the drivers yet to pit. LeVay's not too far behind him. I do like these shorter tracks for the fact, Ryan, that we do get more variety in the pit strategy here.
Yeah, I love, like I said before, I love this track, but I've never been quick around it. But yeah, it gives a different set of pit strategies from the drivers. We've seen some drivers putting it round about the 25-minute mark, and some drivers trying to go as long as possible, and other drivers even trying to run the tank dry or go as long as they can. But some drivers, like we've seen with PJ Gowdy, have took the risk and trying to do an extra lap, and unfortunately it's just bit them on the pit entry where they've started sputtering. But luckily PJ managed to make it back to the pits. But yeah, it was a bit too risky.
Zach LeVay is in. Looks like Jerry McAreevy also in as well. I think this is the first official stop for Jerry McAreevy, because remember, we did have note that he was in pit lane early. So at this point, we're waiting on Orza. Other than Paul Jackson has been out. And that is it. Jackson's down in 18, so he's going to fall way down the order. Orza finally, 6 minutes left to go. He's stretched that fuel a long ways.
Yeah, I'm amazed by that. I'm amazed how long he managed to get that tank to go. But I'm just looking back up at the front. The battle for P3 is starting to hot up again with Tim Hendrickson. Tim Hendrickson under attack from Slacker.
Well, it's going to be round 2. Schlacker's going to want to get that spot back. And again, flat traffic all in front of them. Van Haslam is there. And Jean Pierre a little ways up the road from them. Something of a peak. Oh, and he's going to try and move the same move again. And unfortunately, they come together. He tries to let him go, but he gets into him yet again. So he keeps going and he gets hit. Tim Hendrickson run into by Maurizio Nucelli, who now finds himself in 3rd.
Yeah.
The first one was good. I don't really know about this one, though, with Steph.
Yeah, I've looked at the replay from my perspective, and I think Tim was a head hit into the hairpin and was entitled to take the line into the corner. I think Steph was just being over optimistic and eager with that move, and unfortunately, if I was in charge of handing out penalties, I would put the blame on him.
Oof, we just saw he got hit twice more by two different cars, Naselli and it might have been either Sadra or Rotgrins. So David Gaspers, by the way, in the midst of all this, we haven't covered that battling between Naselli and Schlacker has put a 20-second gap from first to second place. That is literally a third of a lap around here.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. That's such a big gap, but I think David Gaspers, we're not really surprised with that anymore. As the battle for P3 is going on again.
Yeah, Naselli with his damage on the front of the car is under threat from Juracek and Sadro. So again, even though it shouldn't hurt him aero-wise, is his suspension hurt because that hit the corner of the car?
Yeah, quite possibly. And I think this is going to allow possibly going to allow Juracek through into third place because that damage, he's up the inside into the final corner and just about up into P3 if he can get the move done.
Naselli's trying to hold on around the outside. This isn't done yet. Sadro's backing off to give them space, watching to see how this is going to play out. Now he dives to the inside, trying to follow Juracek. As Naselli still gripping for dear life to this third place, and he finally has to give up the ghost as they come down to the second hairpin.
And the next man behind Naselli is Daniel Sadro, who, if he can get the move done in the back set, he'll be up into P4. So I think this damage is kind of hindering Naselli and with regards to the straight line speed.
It's a real shame after what a good run he had. We've only got about 2 or 3 laps left to go. I believe 3. The Gaspers just crossed it there. Let's go down to 18th place, where PJ Gowdy and Jerry McAreevy are very close in this battle as well. Gowdy, I believe, in about 5th in Spec 2, or somewhere thereabouts right now.
As this is basically the battle of the Scots, and both of these guys are Scottish. I was about to say one lives in New England, so this is a bit ironic, but good racing between these guys as Gowdy tries to take the hook up the inside, but can't get it done.
Coming off the corner, not quite there for PJ Gowdy. Let's go back to Daniel Sadro, because ever since Juracek got by Naselli, he's been leaving them behind, and now Maurizio is going to have to do it all over again with a little bit of a look to the inside and also a lock up from Naselli. Right on board with Daniel Sadro. Coming down into the final corner. He's running out of opportunities. They're going to get the white flag next time by for David Gaspers, but let's stick with this. This is a great run. This is a good run for Sadro. He's going to look to the inside. Naselli doesn't cover him off, interestingly, but he can't make the move.
Yeah, I think Daniel Sadro tried to get the run on the exit of the final corner, and he couldn't quite get up the inside, but Naselli managed to hold him off. And I was expecting Sadro to just get by Naselli really easy, but Naselli's putting up a great defensive drive at the moment.
Gaspers takes that white flag as he comes around that. Now 22 seconds up on Stefan Schlacker. So very handily in the lead. That battle for third between Naselli, or for fourth rather, between Naselli and Sadro has got one more lap to try and settle itself out. Juracek not completely out of the woods, as he's only got about an 0.8 of a second gap, but he's got to make a mistake for them to have a hope to try and get by. Once again, looking incredibly strong off the final turn. This time, though, we see Maurizio cover him off, make sure and keep the inside from being open.
That was a good defensive move from Naselli. He managed to hold the position, and I think the only other place that Sadro's got a chance of trying to make a move is on that back straight. Otherwise, he'll have to settle for P4.
We got to go to our leader because David Gaspers has one turn to go. He pitted a little bit early. He may have lost a little time, but in the end, it didn't matter at all because he trounced everybody. The win today at Tsukuba goes to David Gaspers. You got Stefan Schlocker coming behind him. Schlocker being caught a little bit by Juracek, by the way. I think the damage that he got has been slowing him down. You can see him up ahead, but it's too little too late. Looks like the 08 is going to take second place. Slightly controversial circumstances for him, but Juracek is going to manage to get third. And Sadro at the line. Sadro on Naselli. He's just snuck by. We'll go and look at the replay on that in a bit, as it looks like Orza was close as well. They're just piling across the line here, as we've got about 24 of them left. Looking to see if actually anybody is close. I see McGill and Rhodes back in 21st and 22nd, but not sure that they will really be all close enough. And no, they will still separate themselves by about 3/4 of a second. So that should be everybody across the line. Let's look at that finish between Sadro and Naselli. How did that start to happen? Tell you what, this was a brave dive by Sadro into the final corner. Look at that, just sends it in. And credit to Maurizio, he gave him space. But that shorter line was all Daniel needed to take it just by inches.
That was a great move by Sadro. He took the opportunity when it was there, and they managed to hold the inside line and get the run to the finish line, and just managed to finish P4. And that was a fantastic racing between the both of them.
Half a tenth between them at the line. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Tsukuba Circuit. We just watched the latest round in the Weekend Warriors, round 10, and David Gaspers with another victory. Even though he wasn't bothered for most of the race, Stefan Schlacker, who finished in second, definitely was. Had a lot of action to try and take that one away. It did come to contact, so we'll have to get the thoughts of both parties on that one. Miroslav Juracek managed to come home in third, ahead of Daniel Sadro at the line by half a tenth of a second for fourth place over Maurizio Naselli, P5. Erwin Rotkrins with a sixth place was followed by Greg Stefani in seventh, and Emil Orza finished in P8. Dominic Bureau was in ninth, third in that Spec 2. And by the way, Rotkrins won that Spec 2 race up there in seventh. Antonio Reese rounded out the top 10.
Finishing in 11th was Sanyu Dick. 12th place was Zachary Levy after starting 18th. Chris Marikami finished in 13th. 14th was Larry McLeod. 15th was Sergio Dorelli. 16th was Adam Bradshaw. 17th was Ramon Ragalado. 18th was Jerry Macarivi. 19th was PJ Gowdy. And rounding out the top 20 was Ian Haycox.
You get to Jim McGill, who was 21st, and Kellen Rhodes, who finished 22nd. Brian Short was P23. Paolo Bream qualified 35th, the last car on the lead lap, in 24th. That's a nice climb for him. Everyone from there on down was a lap down or more. Most of those lap down cars didn't DNF today, though, as we're used to seeing in the past, as it was just such a short track. But then, of course, not having as great a day as they'd like. Ryan, in the meantime, has caught up with our winner, David Gaspers.
Yeah, David Gaspers taking the win after a brilliant drive in this race, proving why he's a Michael Schumacher of the Weekend Warriors League. But David, that was a great drive by you. Talk about how the race went for you.
Thanks. I'm not sure if it was the best drive. After all, I needed 2 tries for my pit entrance. Lucky that Stefan had a good start, and I'm not sure if I could have shaken Maurizio out of the draft. But after that, it wasn't that hard. I just had to do consistent lap times and not make any big mistakes.
Yeah, we were watching behind you. You were pulling away, but the battle with Stefan Hendrickson and a few other guys behind, I guess that allowed you to pull away and just build up a bit of a gap. And then once you'd done that, I guess it was just, like you say, just be consistent, hit your marks, and up until the pit stops, and then just get to the finish. But what did you think of Tsukuba and the layout that was used for today? Did you think it was good, or was it maybe too many cars on track, I guess? Or what did you think?
I think it's a good track, but I prefer the version without the chicane there. Especially when we had lapped cars, I had a big problem with one there. But also for going side by side, the chicane is just annoying.
Yeah, we've seen some points back markers were maybe, I wouldn't say getting in the way, but it was difficult to lap them. What was the driving standards from the back markers like? Were they making it easy for you to lap them, or was it a bit difficult in some places, like you say?
For the most part, it was fine, but yeah, one guy decided to go too wide with me 3 corners and ended up crashing with me.
Good stuff. Yeah. Lastly, are you looking forward to next week's track? Sorry.
Not really. I don't like Watkins Glen or Mosport.
Well, thanks, David. And before we let you go, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks for broadcasting. I guess that's the most important thing. Otherwise, I don't think we would have this many drivers.
Thanks for that, David. Oh, that was David Gaspers joining us in the booth, and I think Stefan Slacker is speaking to Joe Peak.
Yes, indeed. It was very hard racing for Stefan Schlacker. You seemed to predict that your pace in qualifying was P2. Well, you got into P2 once the race started, Steph, but you really had to fight for that.
Yeah, it was an interesting start, to say the least. Somehow, I think it was like 3 or 4 wide there. At one second, I even thought that I'm gonna get Gaspers ahead of me, but yeah, that didn't happen. And then Yeah, a very interesting fight there started to develop with Tim Hendrickson. I would say, though, even though it looked a little bit messy at times, I would still say it was clean, fair, and especially hard racing between us two.
Yeah, and tell you what, at one point it looked like he had you, and then you send it back in that second hairpin. That time it worked. You tried the move a second time. Oh, talk about that move, though.
Well, simply, I had a look at that and 2, 3 times, and there was a little bit of netcode. Without that netcode, I wouldn't have hit him simply. And then, yeah, that second contact between us two where I rammed right into his side pod, that was a little bit unlucky. I had to brake so hard that I lost my car as well, and just, yeah, kind of interestingly lost it into him there. I have to say, though, the way Tim responded to that wasn't quite the gentleman way to do it. Let's just put it like that. He really does need a little reality check on that point to sit his emotions down a little bit and then talk about incidents like that. But yeah, I have no grudges against it, But yeah, also not kind of really the way you want to get that second place, but kind of have to take it.
Yeah, from fifth to second, no mean feat. Before we let you go, though, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, David for drafting me there in qualifying to get me up to fifth place. Obviously, you guys as well for, as always, an awesome broadcast, and yeah, the whole Weekend Warriors community.
All right, that's Stefan Schlacker, second place today. And then up next, we have our winner in the Spec 2 race today, Erwin Rotkranz, talking to Ryan Walker.
Yeah, taking the one in the Spec 2 class today at the Tsukuba. Erwin, that was a great drive by you, taking the one in the Spec 2 class, and with that, a great result overall, finishing in P6. How was that race for you?
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, thank you. Wow, that was intense, man. I messed up my qualifying and I couldn't get a lap in. And then a couple laps in the end, I ran into somebody. And luckily I could continue, but that was intense.
Yeah, the racing we've seen throughout the field, it was pretty chaotic. And what was your plan for the race? Did you just want to finish and finish well, or was it try and take the Spec 2 one as well, what like you managed to do today, or was it just a case of finish the race and see where you ended up finishing?
Yeah, it was more like staying out of trouble, and I was hoping to be in the top 10 with qualifying, but that didn't work. So, yes, but gladly I survived and good results. So I'm happy.
I mean, we were watching the race as well at one point, and it looked like you caught up. Dominic Bureau was leading the Spec 2 class at one point, but you managed to close the gap down to him quickly and take the lead. Yeah, it looked like you were in. It looked like you were in the zone, just lapping at a pace you were comfortable with, and it seemed to pay off. And do you think you can carry that form for the rest of the season?
I hope so. Next week I'm gonna skip, so it won't be next season. I have to concentrate on next season. So hopefully I can remain the form, and a little progression would be nice. So
good stuff. Lastly, before we let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to thank, Erwin, for hosting the league, or just anyone in general?
Yeah, everybody who showed up. It's a great community, and yeah, you guys, awesome broadcast, I guess. So I have to watch it back. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Erwin, and thanks for joining us in the booth. And we'll look forward to seeing you on track. Not next week, but seeing you on track again in the future, or in the next race.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, guys.
That was our winner in the Spec 2. Obviously pleased with that. And up next, we have Tim Hendrickson. Unfortunately, DNF today, so let's talk to Tim. We've got one side of the story. Tim, just a reminder, we are live, so make sure to keep it PG.
Will do.
Tim, so you and Steph had just a hell of a battle. We were enjoying it from up in the booth. Unfortunately, it came to blows. Tell us about your perspective on things.
It was a bloody good scrap, really was. Bit rude of him to just call me out, expecting me not to be able to reply, but here I am. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, I just PM'd him. After he tried that move once into the hairpin, I expected it again once he was behind me. And it was, one of those moves that was going to work once and not again. So I was a bit surprised and, let's say, disappointed he tried it again, and it, ended my race. I had a meatball, so there was not a real point, trying to limp the car back home. Disappointing into a good scrap, I'd say, but hey.
Yeah, it certainly was a lot of fun to watch. Talk about the good times, I guess you could say. The rest of that race, pretty much you and it was about 4 other drivers involved in that at one point. It seems like as tight as this track is, it produced some fantastic battling.
The combination with this car is just brilliant. Spec Racer Ford's always produced really good racing, and when you put drivers on edge on a track where overtaking is, it just ramps up the difficulty and excitement level to 11. So if anyone in chat or wherever, go try the Spec Racer Ford. It's really good.
I actually got a few races in myself this week. I enjoy this combo. Well, before we let you go, what about Mosport? Do you see yourself maybe having better results next week?
I might, and I'm not sure I can do the race, but I'm definitely going to try. I do like Mosport. It's always a really good track, so let's hope I'm available.
All right, let's hope so as well, because we want to see more battling like that. That was Tim Hendrickson. Fortunately, when all is said and done, he was counted as 41st today with his DNF. But a big thank you goes out, of course, to our sponsors for this series. SimStickers, of course, can be found at simstickers.co.uk, and their promo code is GSRC10 if you want to go check them out. Also to iRacing for putting us on IESN for another week. And if you want to subscribe to them, it's as easy as clicking on the big red subscribe button. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde to provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, with Twitter being at GSR Channel, Facebook being Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. The next race is going to be at Mosport, as we mentioned, up to Canada, Sunday, February 23rd at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.